Rosa the Beloved One 8 by Hakjin Kim. As night falls, Linda's nerves become unstrung. She jumps out of bed and walks across the living room to the kitchen. She puts the kettle on the gas stove to make tea. Since Paul took Rosa's toothbrush for DNA test, her worries get deeper. That Anne doesn't look serious about the presence of Paul leaves Linda to shoulder a psychological burden. Startled by the sound of kettle, she leaps to her feet. Sipping tea, she goes to the living room and sits on the sofa. She grabs her cell phone, checking the time to call Anne, but she gives up. She sits still and mumbles, "I'd better wait till the result of DNA testing. It's up to Paul. I can't see how he will proceed. But I don't understand why he wants his biological granddaughter back after 17 years. It's odd. There must be something wrong with him." On Helen's side, she would feel betrayed if she figured it out. Does his daughter know what Paul's doing? Oh gosh. I can't sleep, she hears the clock strike midnight. When she thinks of Rosa, she feels heartbroken. Rosa is a good granddaughter. Positive, bright and smart, who Linda has loved so much. She wants to watch Rosa as a family member as long as she leaves. At her age, anything can't be a pleasure except puppies. But Rosa grows up as a meaningful pleasure for Linda. So Linda must keep Rosa around for her own sake. All of a sudden, the cell phone rings in the middle of the night, and it wakes Linda, who was asleep on the sofa. That's the call from Anne. "What's up?" "Oh, it's Dawn." Linda presses on the cell and says, "Yeah, I know. Rosa didn't come home without any notice. Yesterday was the last school day before the summer break. I thought she was in her room. You know, this is the first time. I kept calling her but she didn't answer it," Anne says in a quivering voice. "Really? You better text her. Then she'll text you back." "I'll be right there," Linda says. "No, come here in the morning, Mom. I'll call you if I have any message from Rosa." "I already texted Alice to ask if she saw Rosa," Anne says. Lying on a beach chair, Rosa watches the sun rise over the lake and fixes her gaze on the forest along the lake in the distance, which glitters in the sun, thinking of Anne, who called her almost 20 times since dawn. This time, Rosa ignores her mom, unlike how she has been. She just wants to be free from people around her and needs time to refresh herself. Rosa hears Alice call out from the living room of the summer house and rises to her feet and says that she's coming. "Rosa, your mother texted me several times. Do you think I should tell her you are here?" Alice asks. "Oh, I'll text her. We are together to study for SAT test here," Rosa answers. Rosa begins to text her mom instead of calling. "Mom, sorry for not telling you yesterday, but I didn't have time to call you. And I was asleep as soon as I had dinner here. The summer house of Alice's mother. We are gonna study together for SAT. And I think we'll stay for about a week until the summer school starts. You can ask Alice's mom about our location and don't worry about us. We are safe here. You know, I'm a fast runner as well as a black belt in judo, so I can knock out strangers. I'll text you every hour. I love you. I'm done. Let's hit the road to the nearby restaurant. I'll buy you breakfast." Rosa grins. "Don't. We have a lot of stuff in the fridge. I'll make omelette for us." "How about that?" Alice asks. They both wash their hands and begin to peel onions. Rosa looks relaxed, forgetting Paul, and seems to feel good. During their stay there, they swim in the lake as often as they want and read books on the beach chairs. When they study SAT, Roy joined them at Alice's request. Since Alice knows that Rosa has a crush on Roy, she invites him to make Rosa feel happy with his presence. He also never comes to them empty-handed. Instead, he fills his backpack with some goodies and interesting stuff, like a puzzle toy. A week has passed in a flash since Rosa and Alice stayed in the summer house. Rosa loved spending her time jogging around the lake. On the day Rosa plans to go back home, She receives a text message on her cell phone. It reads, "Hey, sweetheart. What time are you coming home? Text me when you leave." Rosa wears her sneakers to jog one more time before leaving the lake and says to Alice that she'll be back in an hour. She steps into the winding path around the lake to run. Though the path is deserted, she is safe in broad daylight because she has never seen any animals while jogging. She runs as usual but a bit faster, feeling something behind her, and stops completely at a cougar which shows up in a flash. And suddenly, it collapses before attacking her. She is breathless in an unspeakable moment and hears a man's voice. She looks back to find out what's happening behind her. To her surprise, there stands a man in his mid-30s. "Oh my God, did you kill it?" Rosa asks with a look of shock. "No, I shot it some anesthetic. It almost bit you." "What the hell are you doing without safety equipment?" The man glares at Rosa. "It's the first time to see this thing." "Thank you so much, mister. By the way, you run faster than I do." "I didn't see anyone when I started jogging," Rosa says. "You're welcome. I think you'd better go back to your place." "I should call 911 to take this one," the man says. Rosa runs back the way she ran after appreciating his help one more time. Sitting in the passenger seat of Alice's car, Rosa thinks of the man who saved her from a cougar. Without his help, Rosa would be in danger. It seemed to be an odd coincidence that appeared at the pertinent timing, because Rosa didn't see anyone behind her while running. Rosa is curious about the man and even regrets not asking his name, never expecting that Paul has hired a bodyguard for her safety. Being welcomed by Anne, Rosa goes upstairs to her room and unpacks her bag. She makes up her mind not to think about her future, no matter what happens, but to focus on doing her job to get into an Ivy League college a year later. Getting away for a week has a restful effect on Rosa. Paul and Olivia have seated in a restaurant waiting for Nancy, their daughter. They have never dreamed of having dinner in the restaurant for almost 2 years, since Nancy lost her kids in a car accident. While waiting, Olivia checks if she has an envelope in her purse. That gives the result of DNA testing on Rosa that matches that of Nancy. "Sorry, I took the wrong way," Nancy says, and sits on the chair across from them. They order what they want from a menu. In the middle of dinner, Nancy looks over her parents' faces and says, "You both look good. I guess you have good news for me." "I'll tell you after finishing my meal," Paul says with a smile. As Olivia finishes her meal, she takes out a piece of paper from the envelope and put it on the table. She takes a deep breath and says to Nancy, "Read this one." "Well, let's see." "Rosa's DNA matches mine." "What? Oh my God, you mean Helen isn't mine? Who is Rosa?" Nancy asks with a shock. Paul starts to tell the long story that has happened so far, and finishes with saying that Miller's family doesn't know the result. After hearing every word Paul said, Nancy seems to be speechless. "I don't know what to tell you, Dad. I can't believe this paper," Nancy mumbles. Paul continues, "I'm going to take her back to you. She's your real daughter. It took almost 2 years for me to find her." "Wait a minute. What? Are you planning to take Rosa away from her family? She's a teen, not a baby. Don't tell them the result, please." "No," Nancy says and holds her head in her hands. They skip dessert and leave to go back home.